Hey y'all, it's Tanisha from Shay's Bouquets, and I'm back for my third video. Today we're gonna be doing an organic garland for my cousin's graduation. And so this is gonna be my classic L-shaped garland, the garlands that go on the side and then go up top. This is probably the most requested garland because you usually install it onto a backdrop. So I'm gonna show you the whole process. Me make it, me travel with it, me install it so you can see from start to finish, okay? Let's do it. So first, of course, you always want your balloon pump. You will not need your balloon sizer for this. This is gonna be organic, which means the measurements aren't equal. The balloons are all different sizes. My mom did a wonderful job of setting my balloons up for me. I have lots of 11, they're considered either 11 or 12-inch balloons. So here, and then I have some 17-inch balloons. I would definitely say that if you want your garland to pop, you definitely want to have those 17 to 18-inch balloons. If you just have 11 inches, it'll be cute, but it'll be just basic. And then eventually we're going to be using our manual pump for these 5-inch balloons, okay? She got this kit on Amazon. I believe Amazon is your best bet to get a kit, especially if you have a theme or colors that usually go well together. Like for example, you can easily find a black, white, and red garland and things like that. Because these Amazon kits will offer you the multi-sizes, grab my Fast Track to Balloon Garland Mastery ebook, and I explain that tons of different sizes create the wow factor. It's a pro tip, okay? Let's get started. So I personally am a fan of color blocking, so that's what I'll be doing today. That's when you keep your colors all together. You don't mix them up. So the whites are with the whites. We got segregation going on up in this mug. The red's gonna be with the reds. The blue's gonna be with the blues. All right, let's do it. All right, as always, I'm gonna show you one time how to blow up these balloons, and then we get into it. You're gonna put 2 on here. The reason I emphasize this is because sometimes I see people on TikTok and things, and they're not actual balloon people, and they show you how to blow them up, and it's just like, it creates more work and it can hurt your fingers. So I wanna show you the proper technique. Definitely do 2 at a time. I see people only do 1 at a time. So you'll put your balloons on here, blow them up. This is a second pro tip. You always want to push some air out. Why? Because you want them to be super circly. You don't want them to be oval-like. You will never see me tie some balloons together without me first taking some air out. Then, as always, if you see my other videos, I turn it upside down, I cross them over, I pull the necks, I bring one side, or excuse me, I release one side, they're twisted, and then I always do what, class? And you said double 9. Good job, you're right. All right, I'm about to switch to my time lapse, and you're gonna see me do the whites, you're gonna see me do the reds, you're gonna see me do these other blues. Basically, you're gonna see me pump up all my 11-inch balloons, adding some 17-inch balloons, okay? I usually try to add maybe 2 or 3 of each color. I would say in total, for example, this is an L-shaped garland. It's always good to have maybe like, I'd say 5 to 10 17-inch balloons, if you could, just to give it that fullness, that dimension. All right, y'all, so we have a lot of balloons pumped right now. I don't count the balloons. What I do is I count the clusters. So I do believe for an L-shaped garland, you need 12 to 13 clusters of 6. So what I do is I just pump up a whole bunch of balloons. I begin clustering them, and then once I run out and see, hey, I only have 9 clusters, I know I need to pump up more balloons to get to 12 or 13. If this is your first video, let me show you one time how to cluster the balloons up. So you're gonna grab a set of 2, You're gonna grab another set of 2 and we're gonna form a quad. We go right in the middle where the necks are and we loop them around. You just wanna make sure they're stuck together. Boom, this is a quad. Now you add 2 more, and then this is going to be a cluster of 6. And then, you know, I just tie them together and then we move it to the side and we keep clustering. Remember, I'm color blocking, so I'm only doing colors that are matching. We're gonna keep all the colors together, okay? So boom, cluster of 6, move it over, and you just keep doing that until you don't have any more balloons, and then you count the number of clusters you have. So I have 10 clusters, and like I said, I usually do about 12 to 13. What I usually do is 12, and then I keep 1, which would make 13, to the side, and I use it to make my bottom part a little bit more chunky. It'll make more sense when we're at the installation. So I'm gonna make 2 more clusters. All right, y'all, right now I have 12 clusters. I'm feeling like this is a lot of balloons, so I'm not even gonna go with the 13th, but we'll see when we get there. So what I do is I have 2 that will be at the bottom, so that the bottom just is real super chunky, and then I do go 1 up. And then I have 2 right there because that's where it's gonna be, like at the top, when it's like, you know how it goes here and then it'll be here. It's right when you kind of get here, and then these balloons will be where it goes over flat. I'm hoping that's making sense right now. If not, you'll get the visual when we get there. Bear, say hi to us. He's scared of balloons kind of, but he just can't help but be in the mix, so you'll always see him. I felt it was time for him to having his appearance. I hate that I have my flash on, so his eyes be looking weird. We are ready to construct our base, which means tie the balloons together. I've showed you guys with the columns how to do 260s, and then on the garland video, I showed you using curling ribbon. I do believe I'm gonna be using curling ribbon today. I would like to use white. All right, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, I gotta get out here pretty soon for the setup. So I wanted to use white curling ribbon. Unfortunately, I don't have any. So I'm gonna be using this blue because it's a light color, and maybe the only places you'll see it is at the white balloons, but then I'll just be good at adding my supporting balloons that fill any gaps. Your 5-inch balloons and your extra 17 to 18-inch balloons are where you fill in gaps. I'll talk about that more when we get to the install part so that it makes sense. You can also use the clear 260 balloons like I've shown you guys before. It's all up to you. Curling ribbon or clear 260s, it's up to you. I'm gonna use the curling ribbon now. The reason I have my colors grouped together so that then it's easy to get it going. So if you notice at the bottoms, you always really want a good chunky bottom. So you see how this cluster has multiple, it has 3 18-inch balloons. That's how we get some good chunk at the bottom. You want the chunk at the bottom, at the corner, and then at the other end. All right. I like to go with another one that has multiple. Oh, I don't have the other one that has multiple. But yeah, and then this is the only time at the bottom, the corner, and then the end where you'll see me do the color twice together. Normally I just do 1 cluster color together. Sometimes I feel like I don't be making sense, y'all, but I hope you understand. 2 clusters of the same color, and now 1. Of course, if this is your first time watching the video, I'm sorry I didn't even show y'all what I did. Make sure you're pushing down as well as pulling up. You're adding a balloon. You're setting it wherever. You're bringing it to the middle where those necks are. You're going down and you're catching balloons from the last cluster. And then you're bringing it up. And then once again, you're pushing down and pulling up to make sure there's no gaps, no gaps, no gaps, no gaps. And then we're keeping going. Let's do it again. We add it on top. It doesn't matter how it sits. Ooh. Look, I've been doing this for 3 years, and sometimes, you know, it still gets loose from you, so don't worry. All right, put it in there. You see it's in the middle. Now I'm bringing it over, looping it to that last cluster. Of course, when you do color blocking, it's easy to tell because, of course, we're going down. The last cluster was white, and then bringing it back up and bringing it back to that middle and pushing it down. One thing I love about balloons is you see how it's kind of twisted up? When we get there, we can shape this around, move it around. So it does not matter how it lays, okay? I like when it gets a little tail to it because then I start going like this. What's next? Red. Then I usually like lay it on my leg, put it like this, over one way, down the other, catch it on to the last cluster, and bring it back up. And then, like I said, pushing it down at the middle where the necks meet, as well as pulling on it. So there are, what? No gaps. Next color, white. All right, this is the last color I'm gonna put on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a SUV and I put the seats down. So that's how I can get this much balloons together. Because that is a thing. When you're transporting balloons, your car matters. So if you have like a car, then what happens is you'll have to do these balloons on site at the location of where you're going to set the balloons up. But for me, because I have the proper vehicle, I'm able to pre-plan these balloons. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 together, and that'll fit in my car. But it looks like that, super organic. It's okay if you don't like the shape. I promise you, you can move these balloons around. We just need them attached. And from what I'm looking at, it's like really no black gaps. You see how there's no real place where like it's like drooped or linky, or you see the curling ribbon, you see it here and like here, but that's where you would be putting your supporting balloons that add dimension as well as cover up gaps. All right, so we toss it to the side, and then we're gonna do our remaining. I didn't show you the first time, so you take your curling ribbon, just loop it in there, get it to the middle, double knot, and it's ready. You would do the same thing whether it was a 260 or curling ribbon. So we're doubling up the blue. Down and around. Straight through. I'm going fast, y'all. I'm all on the phone, so remember I do my balloons at my parents' house. I'm out of it today. I'm like, I can't even remember what color. All right, let's go fast. Let me show you how easy this is. I feel like every time I want to show y'all, oh, this is cool, this is fun that happens. Whenever you notice it do that, make sure you push it in the middle, because now watch. When I pull, you see how it has some pull to it? It would have been a gap if I didn't notice that. So that's why it's so important that you're making sure that it's hit in the middle every time. I love that that happened, because we always want to catch what's called misconceptions, things that make it go wrong. So now we're going to continue after the red was the white. sometimes it doesn't look like you know what you're doing, but you're just keeping that same technique. Pulling. I'm really good about my tugs because, like I said, I like to make sure there's no gaps. All right. And then I don't think I showed you guys the last time what it looks like when you get to the end. You do that final tug, you pull out one of the necks, and then you double knot it. Then you get your scissors and you cut it. Well, this is what they look like, and they're ready to be transported. If you don't have the vehicle to transport these, then once again, you would do it on site. You would do it at the party. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my balloon bag. It has all my supplies. So I would load up my pump. I would load up all the balloons so that I can bring them with me. Normally we would do our supporting balloons, which is our 5-inch balloons at home. However, I want to be at the venue because we can begin setting up at 2 and it's like 1:40, so I need to go. If I was not in a rush, I would have showed you guys how I stuff these bad boys in there. I do, one row of the 6 here, one row of the 6 here. You definitely have to be aggressive and push them in there. You got to get on the side doors and boom, and you know how it sees they're poking out, but by the time you close it, they'll just stuff in, okay? All right, I ain't gonna cap y'all. This doesn't want to close, probably because I got these big 18-inch balloons at the bottom. So just a little bit more push, and all right, y'all, the rest of this video will be done in voiceover mode because I am at the venue and the music is bumping. I'm on my supporting balloons, and I'm gonna show you different variations. First is my cluster of 3. Next is my cluster of 4. There it is, a quad. And then lastly, I do a cluster of 6. So make it a quad and then add another 2 to make it 6. Those are my 3 different variations of supporting balloons: 3, 4, and 6. And then I usually tend to make 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 6 in each color. And I like to have probably like 9 to 12 clusters of supporting balloons. And then I also pump up 1 or 2 18-inch balloons because those will fill big gaps. This is now a time lapse of me, like I said, doing those 10 to 12 clusters of supporting balloons. My uncle came and hugged me, talking up a storm, and almost finished. There's that 18-inch balloon. Now I'm making that 13th cluster that will go at the bottom so that my bottom is really chunky. All right, this is all my supporting balloons. And then there's my base that I have it laid in that L shape. Now my mom's helping me put the backdrop off. So remember I said you can attach this to a backdrop stand, but I just did it to the wall. Now let's install. I am doing the side first, and then I do the top. I ain't going to tell y'all what I use to attach, but I'm going to tell y'all what the people be saying, command hooks, use that. You want to know what I use? I'll tell you when my course drops. I'm saving that gem. Now that I did the side and the top, I just attach the side and the top together. And then now I'm working on my bottom and then adding those supporting balloons. I'm putting my supporting balloons wherever I see gaps, or like if you could just see the curling ribbon. So here I go. Pretty self-explanatory. Of course, as you can see, this is adding dimension to the base, working more on the bottom so it's nice and full. There's my stepbrother and his girlfriend. I hadn't seen them in 2 years, so it's good to see them. Adding more of my supporting 5-inch balloons.
And there it is. That's the finish. My mom also added the 2023 columns. There it is again. And then there's the graduation girl, Anaya. All done.